It's Hanger Time with Blender Boy and Badger. We're ready for another great show. I hope you guys are ready.
Welcome to episode 3 of Hanger Time with your hosts Mike, aka Blender Boy, and our other host, Dwayne, the Honey Badger.
Thank you. You remembered the honey.
Yes, I did. Did not forget this time. And this week we have our guest caller, Michael Mitchell.
Hey, Mike.
Yeah, I'm here.
How you doing?
Doing good. How about y'all?
Oh, we're doing good.
Doing good. Ready for another edition of Hanger Time.
Yes, we are.
Before we get started with our edition, I'd like to go ahead and thank the Crashcast for giving us a plug on their episode. We listened to that, and it was nice to get a little bit of recognition from another podcast. So I'd like to thank them. Also, like to thank our listeners and the response we've gotten lately. It's been going really good. We've had a lot of listens to our podcast, and we're getting a lot of fans on our fan page on Facebook, and just wanted to thank everybody for that. It's been really nice to know that people are supporting us and they're really liking the show. So hopefully it'll continue and get better.
Yeah, I'd like to say the same thing. Thanks, guys, for the shout outs. Thanks to all our fans. I see we got 41 likes, 31 followers on our Facebook page. We also got a new Gmail address. It's rc.hangertime.com@gmail.com. And like Mike said on our page yesterday, if you have any complaints, gripes, or you just want to bitch at me, that's where all those emails are to be directed, not on our Facebook page. So,
yes. So any hate mail can be directed toward Dwayne. Anything, praise, donations can be sent over to Blender Boy. So
you keep it up. The more I use that transmitter, my powers are getting stronger. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying what power. They're just getting stronger, so you better be nice.
I know. I'm getting worried. I'm getting worried. Speaking of that transmitter, I hear you actually got some flying in this week.
Yes, actually, I did. I'm finally getting over whatever Ebola, Eastern equine encephalitis, swine flu, whatever the heck I've had all winter. So I'm much better now. I think the plague is gone. So I went out yesterday and I put 4 battery packs through my Horizon Hobby Ultra Micro Polecat. Still a great plane. It's had 1 or 2 little nose ins, and that's me flying in too high a wind in the past. But it's the more I use that controller, the more I like it. The more it just feels anchored to the plane. It just, the stick control is like instantaneous. It feels really good. The only complaint I have is when you're trying to turn it on and you want to find your model. It's a little tough to navigate the menus to find what model you want. The first time I didn't have an issue with that because I only had the one plane programmed. Now I have 4 planes, and it's kind of a little tricky to find the model listings. But once you get there, it downloads all the information that you have stored, the trim settings, everything else. It actually won't let you start the motor if you have the throttle trim. If the throttle trim is not zeroed, it will not let you start the motor, in addition to having the stick in 0 position. So it's another little fail-safe on starting your model by accident. So, I mean, it has some really nice safety features. Just doesn't have that FCC tag like everybody complains about.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm really starting to enjoy it. The AA batteries now, I have about I put 4 flights on each yesterday for about 8 to 10 minutes, and then I've had 5 other flights on it, and the battery's still showing a 6.4 voltage on the screen, and it's running really nice. I'm quite impressed with it. And I also, again, my Polecat, I just want to say, the Polecat, the Ultra Micros from Horizon Hobby, some people complain about them, but I had about 5-mile-an-hour winds, 10-mile-an-hour winds after about 30, 40 feet up, and that plane still tracked nicely. It got a little squirrely. It doesn't have the AS3X, but even without, it still tracks like a little arrow up there, and just a great little plane, too. So anyone with an Ultra Micro and they're looking for something a little bit cheaper than a DX6, go with the Orange RX, the 6T. I'm impressed.
That's good. At least it's working out for you.
Mm-hmm.
even after all the flack you get for it.
That's all right. I'm used to flack. It's my life.
But hey, without that orange radio, this show probably wouldn't even be possible. We wouldn't have anything to talk about.
That is true. That is true. I know picking on me has become a part of a lot of members' lives now in the RCPA, that if they don't get a daily dose of Slam the Badger, hey, that's what we could have. We could have a segment every week, Slam the Badger.
Yeah, yeah. It'd be like those those little pop-up things at the carnival where you just whack-a-mole,
Exactly.
But we'll just call it whack-a-badger.
Yeah. So yeah, I can see that taking off.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, what does my life come to? But anyway.
Well, at least you're still in the group after all the flack, and you haven't left yet.
Oh no, I'll stick around. I enjoy it. It doesn't bother me one bit whatsoever. So
yeah.
So what have you been up to there, Blender?
Not much. Just switched over to a swing shift at work, so I'm still trying to get used to, organizing my days and nights and staying up late and, trying to figure out when to wake up and that. I haven't done any flying. It's been still cold. Today it was so foggy outside right now you can't even see across the street. But I've been working on that 130X. I'm sure you guys saw the posts on that with the new canopy and the upgrades and stuff. That thing's coming along nice. I'd like to actually get out and fly it sometime soon. I did get out yesterday in the garage and tested out my FPV quadcopter again with some 10x5 props. Took off the ground no problem, hovered right around under half stick, so looks like I've got that issue resolved. I should have known that those 8x5s weren't going to, pull that weight. So,
right.
But that's flying good. As soon as I get a break in the weather, I'm just itching to get out and fly that FPV quadcopter. So be on the lookout for some FPV video from me. So I'll post that up, and you guys can check out that video from that quadcopter. I think it's going to be a lot different than my previous FPV videos, flying the planes and that kind of stuff with the quad. And it's going to probably take me a little bit of time to get used to it, because flying FPV is just, really different, and it takes some time to get used to.
Oh, I can imagine. Well, I'm glad you brought one thing up. We're also going to have a new segment on the show, Fashion and Styles with Blender Boy, because I see the way you accessorize your cell phone case to your helicopter. I mean, that's very trendy, almost like how I'm sure Michael, he accessorizes his purse to his high heels. I like the color scheme you got on your helicopter and your and your iPhone there. That looks really nice. I like that.
Yeah. I'm a sucker for anything that's lime green. I mean, it's a funny story. When I first bought my Precision Aerobatics Ultimate biplane, you know how I found it was I just Googled, RC biplane, and then in Google you can change in the images. You can change so it only shows up colors. So I just clicked on green, and it popped up, and I was like, wow, I gotta have that plane just for the fact it was green.
and speaking of Michael, folks, I'm just joking. I'm sure he doesn't wear high heels. He does carry a purse, I think. But we got Michael with us today. Michael, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and let us know who you are, how old you are, where you hail from, and a few other good things?
Yeah, I guess I can do that. No, I'm not wearing my high heels right now. I kicked them off when I got off work this morning.
Yeah, a little sore.
Yeah, them spikes get you. My name's Michael Mitchell, Central Texas, Waco area. I've been in RC flying. I started in it back in 2007. What interested me about it was being able to see a plane flying and knowing that I was controlling it. And I said, I wonder if I could do that. So I started out with a little air hog, and it escalated quickly.
Yeah, those are like the gateway drug of RC.
How old are you, Mike?
What are you, census taker? I'll be 46 in April.
Well, we just like to know our guests, get a demographic of how old they are. So,
yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm 40. Up until I think last week, I was the oldest guy on the show, so I'm just trying to make myself feel better. Actually, that's what I'm doing here.
Oh, so I'm the old guy, huh?
So far, I think so.
Yeah, okay. I'm good with that.
And now, you say you started out with the Air Hogs. What are you flying now, and what's some of your favorite planes that you have?
Oh, I find mostly scale planes, warbirds especially, World War II vintage, what I call the heavy metal gunslingers of the sky.
Excellent.
I've been spending most of my time with the Pacific theater, but I'm starting to branch over into the European theater. I've got a couple of planes from Germany, and I'm eyeballing a A6M0 right now, and I just haven't pulled the trigger on it yet.
Well, out of the Pacific theater, what's your favorite plane out of the Pacific theater?
Oh, P-40 Warhawk.
Warhawk. Have you seen the new Horizon Hobby Ultra Micro P-40?
Yes, I have. And it's a nifty little plane.
Yeah, it has the AS3X gyro stabilization, so you can fly it in up to 15-mile-an-hour winds. I think that's on my hit list. That's one plane that's going to be on my hit list.
I think I'm going to probably have to pull the trigger on that one myself later on this year.
Well, we'd like to when you do, we'd like to have you back to give us a review on that. What's your favorite European theater plane?
Right now, my favorite European theater plane is it's a Kyosho model. It's a Fockworth 190. It's a 50-size plane. I'm running a Sato 65 in it, 4-stroke. It is an excellent flying plane. It is, it's just great. It's a well-built plane. It went together real good.
The Butcher Bird, isn't that its nickname, the Butcher Bird?
That is correct, the Butcher Bird.
And for some of our younger members out there, just so you know, when we're talking European Pacific, we're talking World War II. The United States did fight in two different theaters, one over mainly in Japan and in the islands around there in the South Pacific, and we also fought in Europe. Just so you guys know what we're talking about, some of the newer members, just so you're not hanging out there like, huh?
I've also just completed a 120-size Stuka dive bomber.
Oh, beautiful plane, beautiful plane.
Yeah, she is gorgeous. I have not flown her yet. She is pretty much trimmed, primed, and ready to go. I just haven't worked up the guts to take it out and fly it yet.
I know that.
And we'd like to hear updates on that. We'd definitely like to hear updates on that. I've always loved the Stuka. Are you going to mount a little? Plane. What you need to do? Does it come with the little air sirens, the air generated sirens?
No, it didn't. But I was looking for one of the wolf whistles that you used to get, and I was trying to figure out a way to mount it on underneath it.
That's exactly what I was thinking. One of those little wee whistles you blew into. That would be amazing. That would be awesome. I'd love to see some video of that whenever you get that up and going.
That's the fucking thing about it. I can shoot the video, but I can't upload the video. That's the thing about living out in the boondoggles. I don't have a very good internet access.
Oh, okay.
So I can take pictures, but that's about it. Upload pictures, but that's about it.
Okay. Well, just use your voice recorder on your phone. You can just upload some audio. I would love to hear that. I would love to hear that. That'd be so awesome.
All right, go get the wolf whistle. Wee, 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 right here in the shop.
Well, welcome aboard, sir. We're glad to have you here. Like I said, we'd love to have you back. We're going to try our best to get every member of the RCPA who's interested. We'd like to get you guys on here at least once, and then have you back on if you have other updates or new flights or whatever. So that's all I got. And
sure. I just want to add something in on that for people that don't know. This is kind of an interesting show for me, having Michael Mitchell on the show with us, because for those that don't know, Blender Boy came from Michael Mitchell. He's the one that coined that and started calling me that on the groups, and it just kind of stuck. So it's kind of weird having him on here and be talking to him, and because at first we were kind of like going at it, and he's a plane guy, I'm a heli guy, and going back and forth, and And then he started calling me Blender Boy. I still haven't come up with the name for Michael yet. I'm kind of slow, so it may take me another year or so. But
Well,
I'll think of something.
My wife asked, "Why is Blender Boy? Is he a chef or a bartender?" I was like, "No." And again, for some of our listeners who are unaware, and that's what we like to do. We like to help you guys out. Guys who are new, don't feel intimidated. There's tons of terms out there that we use that I'm still learning. I mean, there's still terms out there. I really don't know the difference between a Harrier and a blender and a hover and all that. I mean, I know they're similar, but blender is an actual term for an aerobatic maneuver. And since my co-host Mike is named after it, would you like to describe the maneuver, Mike?
I don't know if Michael called it, from the maneuver. I think he's calling my helicopters a blender.
Oh, as in a kitchen blender?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, that makes it even better. So there we go.
Yeah, because I call airplanes planks, and that kind of hit a bone with a couple of the airplane guys. They don't like their airplanes being called a plank, and then so they call my helicopters. They've been called egg beaters, blenders. I mean, you name it, it's been called. I don't know why it always comes back to a kitchen thing, just because the rotors are spinning. I don't know. Maybe Michael can give us a little insight on that and how he came up with that.
This should be our discovery show.
Well, listen to one of the helicopters spool up, and it sounds just like a blender full of rocks.
This should be our discovery show, because now we're going to become, not only are we going to have our fashion and our accessorizing segment, we're going to have our kitchen segment, Cooking with Badger and Blender, next week.
Yeah.
We're going to make smoothies, and we'll be making smoothies and blizzards like Dairy Queen. We can have all kinds of different recipes, and just check our website and Facebook page for links. But
well, I was aware that if you look on his post about his helicopter, the coloring and everything, I said, it looks like it's whipped up in a blender. The green and black swirling together.
Yeah.
For a while there, I wasn't getting all the posts and stuff, so I missed how he got the blender. And like an idiot, I didn't think to ask. I thought it was just for the aerobatic maneuver. I didn't realize it was actually because of the kitchen appliance. That's that makes it even more priceless.
Yeah. So it just kind of stuck, and I've just kind of gone with it. Just go with the flow. Whatever. It seemed fitting, I guess.
That works for me. I tell you, I need actually that plastic clear sleeve around my heli, so I don't break rotors anymore. I'm trying to learn on a heli, and I need a plastic sleeve like that for protection. I wonder if that would work.
Yeah, it might. Just throw it in a bubble or something. You could be Bubble Boy.
I've been called that, and I'm not going to go there. That brings back a lot of bad memories. Let's not go there, gentlemen. But that's all I got.
Yeah.
We'll get the show back to Blender Boy here. And okay, and today's RC Hangar Time News is brought to you by Wings for Wishes. Wings for Wishes is an RC air show open to the public, which helps support Make-A-Wish Foundation of Montana. Just contact Eric Kendall. He has all the information that you will need.
All right, in this edition of Hangar Time News, I'm going to talk about a new product that has just been released from Horizon Hobby. I know not everybody's a big fan of Horizon Hobby, but if you fly helicopters, a good chance is that you're going to have a micro heli, and they're great learning tools. And Horizon has just come out with a new MCPX. They've upgraded it to full brushless motors. So the tail and rotor motor, main motor, is brushless. The main motor is a 6700 kV brushless motor. The tail motor's got an 8100 kV brushless tail motor, and I've seen the videos of this thing, and this thing rips. The dude's throwing whatever he can at it, and the tail doesn't look like it's blowing out or having any problem keeping up like the original MCPX, where you barely, did a pitch pump and the tail would blow out, or you went inverted and the tail would start spinning on you. So it looks like a nice upgrade, and it's $229 for the bind and fly version. So it's pretty pricey, but I'm sure there will be a lot of people getting it. As it's a nice option for the micro flyers, and it's a good learning tool for learning 3D and inverted flight. So that's my segment for today.
Well, I would just like to say two things on that. I am a big fan of Horizon Hobby. I just wish, and I know a lot of other members have mentioned it. We wish Horizon had an easy pay option like Tower does. Hint, 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 Horizon. Hint, hint, hint. I would love to buy a lot more from you guys. Just the easy pay makes it a little easier with some of your other competitors. Also on that helicopter, are you aware that the Orange Crush will work with that helicopter?
Yeah.
It has functions and features specifically for helicopters, just in case you guys didn't know that.
Yeah, I figured it would. And then it'll bind to the bind and fly micros too.
And my segment here, what I want to bring up is last week you brought up an Android and an iPhone application for timing or for logging flight times and battery times and things like that and usage. I just wanted to point out on Android store, and I'm sure there's also on the iPhone store, there's a lot of interesting RC simulators out there. Clearview has actually two of them. Absolute RC Plane, Absolute RC Heli. There's also Leo's RC Simulator. And basically what you do is it just has your sticks on your phone or your tablet. They're virtual sticks. And you can select your field, your model. You can select helicopters, a 40-size trainer, an AT-6 Warbird. They have free versions, and they also have paid versions where you can buy more planes. But it's actually all of them are actually pretty decent simulators to use on your phone or on your tablet. So those of you guys who don't have the money for a real flight or something like that, or don't have a transmitter that can be used with a trainer cord on your computer, you can get a pretty decent feel of flying an RC plane on your phone or tablet for free or pretty cheap. And like I said, the graphics are good. It gives you a decent feel of at least getting your bearings straight, so you can learn to take off with the plane on the simulator, learn how to react and respond with it flying at you and at different angles. I mean, yeah, the screens are smaller, so it's not going to be as good as a larger computer screen, but it still gives you a basic on how to get your orientation when the plane's coming towards you and away from you. So I just want to point out, those interested, they're on the Android App Store, Google Play, and I will have links and information up on our Facebook page about these different simulators that are available for you guys. Yeah, along with the MCPX upgrade. We'll also have those links and more information on our Facebook page later on this weekend.
Yeah, and that sounds like a good option for, something on the go, like you're out doing something or you're bored and you just want to, play on your phone a little bit. It'd be a good little option to, get some practice in or do a little bit of simming.
Yeah, like I said, it's not going to be, as far as the graphics, as far as choppiness and whatever, it's wonderful, and the graphics are really good. It's just because it's a small screen, it's kind of tough to land to see where you actually are on the field. But like I said, to do the orientation, coming towards you, going away from you, it helps a lot. I mean, it really gives you an idea of what it's like to be using your transmitter with an RC plane. It's not like you're in a first-person view. You're actually standing on the ground flying it. You can change the views and change, like if you're standing in a specific area or you're over here, you can control the zoom. They're neat little applications that, like I said, for guys who don't want to go full out on a sim, give them a shot. Maybe it might save you a couple bucks here or there crashing your first plane.
Yeah. I would suggest, though, to anybody that wants to progress, especially doing 3D and that kind of stuff, a real sim where you're using your controller would be ideal. But this could be, a gateway of getting into that as well.
Exactly.
It'd be a nice starter. You get the hang of it and be like, okay, I want to try this on my computer with my actual radio that I fly with to get more stick time on my radio. So sounds like a good option and good starter. Good place to start.
Exactly. And that's all I got.
Good.
What do you mean good?
Good.
What if I had some more? You don't want to hear me? I see how it is. Don't worry about it. Never mind. I'll keep quiet the rest of the show. Go ahead, Mike. Go ahead, Blender. It's all yours.
So this week's hot topic of the week in the group is well, it's not really a hot topic, but it's a good milestone and achievement for one of the members of the group. Omar just received his citizenship.
Yay! Congratulations! Yay!
So we wanted to congratulate him. I know it's been like a 10-year process or something of him getting his citizenship of America. So it's a good achievement for him, and we're proud to have him as a citizen.
Yeah, I saw his post, and I've talked to him a few times, and I just want to thank him publicly. I've mentioned it, and I know he's got his green card. I'm not completely familiar with how that actually is his full citizenship, but I do want to thank him either way for going the long, hard route, and he has no idea how much me and a lot of other members and just people in general appreciate him taking the time to do it the correct way. And I am proud to have him as a fellow American, he and his wonderful family. And we're just lucky to have him in our group, too. Some of the models he makes out of foam, he is absolutely amazing. So I just want to welcome him, thank him and his family, and congratulations and good luck on the rest of your journey.
Yeah, exactly. Congratulations.
Omar El Reyes. And guys, if you're a member of our group or if you're a friend of his, check out his photos. He has albums of models. He scratch builds out of Dollar Tree foam. Some of his models rival factory bought processed foam. I mean, the things he makes out of a sheet of foam are just absolutely amazing. And we're not talking profiles. We're talking 3D full effect models that are just absolutely amazing. The gentleman really has skill.
Yeah, my favorite one was the one that he built from Avatar. He built one of the flying birds or whatever.
The Velociraptor or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. That.
the pterodactyl. I just call it the pterodactyl.
Yeah.
Yeah, that thing is amazing. I can't wait to see it when he gets it up flying.
Yep,
so congrats again, Omar, and thank you for your contributions to the group and to the country. Thank you so very much.
Yeah, that's pretty much it for the news, I guess. That's all I've got.
Now we'll go on to our guest, Michael.
Yeah.
He's always gives me a bunch of crap online and on my page about my tinfoil hats and things like that. But that's to be expected. Like my 5-year-old daughter told me yesterday at the furniture store, she told the sales lady, "My daddy's weird." So can't argue with that logic.
Nope.
So Michael, this is your segment. If you have something you want to review, talk about, or just
I want to chime in on some things you already said. Another app on, I know it's on the Android because that's what I have, RC Tools. If y'all haven't seen that one.
I have that, yes.
That's a really good app for figuring out center of gravity, your watts, and things like that. I don't know if it's really how accurate it is. I haven't used it extensively, but I have used it for a couple of things. I just wanted to shout that one out. It's a free app, too. It's so, you're not out nothing if you don't like it.
Exactly. And if you just go into the search bar on Google Play and hit an RC, for the guys out there who run cars or trucks, there's gearing applications for changing your pinion and your drive gear. There's angles for setting up your suspension. I mean, if you just put in RC in the Google Play search, there are tons of applications out there for us. A lot of them are free. A lot of them are payware, but I mean, there are options out there.
Yeah.
So yeah, exactly. RC Tools is another one that's really nice.
And there's ones for helicopters too that will give you head speed calculators. So you'll plug in your gear ratio, your motor kV, your pinion size, your spur gear size, or your main gear size, and it'll calculate your head speed for you, your desired head speed that you want to run.
Yeah, like I said, we were talking last week, the way technology has advanced in the last even 3 years, we are so far ahead and got so many options to help us succeed today. It's just amazing.
Yeah, there's no reason not to. Especially. So let's do the Dawn Patrol. I like to call it Dawn Patrol because Michael Mitchell flies at dawn and he patrols our skies in the morning and keeps us safe. Have you shot down any bogeys yet?
Besides my own?
Yeah.
Actually, I have been flightless this year. I've been working every day since I went back from vacation at the first of the year. But I got some flying in while I was on vacation there at Christmas time, and several hours worth of flying just my Cub, and I didn't get to shoot nothing down, but I almost took out a little foam Hobby Zone plane that was flying a little too close.
I would have taken him down. Keep our skies safe for us.
Yeah, I caught a lot of flack. I posted a picture last year of one of my Dawn Patrols with my Butcher Bird. And I said, my little Mustang hunter. And I believe even Dwayne even had something to say about that one, about his little Mustang. Couldn't catch it or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know if I saw that one or not. I've only been in the group for about 6 or 8 months or something.
It was back here during the summer. I remember everything.
Yeah.
But, that's actually my go-to plane is that little Butcher Bird.
Mm-hmm.
It's always ready to go. It's never given me a nickel worth of trouble, and it flies just so good, and it looks good while it's doing it.
How many channel is it?
Oh, it's a full 6 channels. It's got flaps and retracts and everything. So you got to have a minimum 6-channel radio to fly it.
Now, who makes it again? I apologize. I missed the...
Kyosho.
I'm sorry, who?
It's made by Kyosho.
Oh, Kyosho. Okay. Oh, okay. Hobby Lobby used to sell them, didn't they?
Hobby Lobby had them, but they never had the Butcher Bird. They had a foam version of it. This is a balsa wood shop. I actually got this one from. I remember everything right. Yeah. Okay. Sure.
Oh, but he won't forget my tinfoil hat jokes, will he? No, okay.
Oh, never. Because I got one too, so we're a matched pair. But I bought it offline, and it's actually Kyosho America. Shopatron is where I got it from.
Okay.
And you go in there and type in the Kyosho model you're looking for, and if it's in stock, they got it. Now, Kyosho's proud of their plane, so don't have shell shock when you go and look one up and I don't know how bad I really want this plane or not. It also came as an electric version too, which was basically the same, but they had a hatch cut into it so you could change your batteries out. But I'm being a nitro guy, I went with the Sato 4-stroke, and it just purrs.
Yeah, I've always loved the Focke-Wulf. They're just, I think Banana Hobbies, which I really don't want to give a shout out, but they have a 800 millimeter airfield version, and it's a nice looking bird, but that's the only smaller Focke-Wulf that I can find anywhere that looks decent. I know Tower has a one, but it's just a little too big for the place where I fly. But yeah, I love the Focke-Wulf. That was just an amazing aircraft. The real thing was just an amazing aircraft when it came out.
Yes, it's still it was a direct competitor to the Mustang. I mean, all the stats were there.
Yeah, in my personal opinion, I hate to say this because I love the Mustang. I think in some aspects it was actually a little bit better than the Mustang.
It was.
Yeah, it's just a wonderful plane. No matter what you want to say here or there about Germany during that time period, you have to admit that their technicians and their engineers were amazing. There's no way you can not say that what they designed and what they came up with was not some of the most amazing aircraft of the century at the time.
It still is.
Yeah.
German engineering is magnificent.
Yes, it is. They make some great helicopters too, as in the RC world. I don't know about real life, but some of the German-made helicopters, like the logo, Mikado logo, is just amazing.
And don't forget their cars and their guns too. I mean,
No, yeah, they're definitely brilliant engineers.
Now, before anybody gets on us, we're not being unpatriotic. We love America, go America, yeah. But we're just acknowledging that there are some amazing feats of engineering that have come out of Germany over the years. That's all we're pointing out here, in case anybody gets mad at us for saying the Mustang wasn't the best or whatever. We're just being open and honest.
Yep, that's what we like to do here.
Well, yeah, I mean, we could go on to this topic for a while, but the German airplanes were, considering especially toward the end of the year, the resources that they were so limited on, they were still given a good fight.
Oh, yeah.
And turn for turn, I watched the military channel, and they always have a comparison to this plane to that plane, and they compare the Mustang to the Zero, and I mean that's like apples and oranges. And
Exactly.
the Mustang was still being outturned by the Zero. It just couldn't catch it.
And isn't that what Germany built the Messerschmitt for? Was to catch the Mustang and be a Mustang killer?
No.
No.
The Focke-Wulf was designed as the Mustang killer. The Messerschmitt came out in the early 30s. It actually, in the Spanish Civil War, it fought there. So yeah, the Messerschmitt came out first, then the Mustang, then the Focke-Wulf.
Oh, okay.
And even the Messerschmitt, the ME-109, I mean, it gave the Mustangs a good fight.
Well, you were saying about the resources at the end of the war. Well, after we bombed all their oil refineries, the Germans are the ones who developed synthetic oil.
Right.
They came up with the first synthetic oil to keep their planes in the air, because whatever natural oil they had to use for fuel, and they didn't have enough to actually put in their crankcases. So they developed the synthetic fuel, or oil, I should say.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm not unpatriotic at all. To me, it's just I'm paying homage to a great aircraft that was built, unfortunately, by the wrong side. And the Germans' planes, even the ME-109, it was an ugly plane. Just to look at it, a lot of people call it the Frankenstein, but it flew great.
And now that we're on that, one thing that does kind of bother me, and a lot of companies do it, and this is hobby related, back to the hobby. And Michael, please feel free. We're at our point now where if, this is our open topic discussion here and it's aircraft related. So feel free to talk Warbirds, World War II. There's nothing, but what we get at, or especially in Europe, I understand what the symbolism of the swastika was, how bad it was, how horrible it was. But when you're making a scale model, to limit that model to not, if you're saying this is a scale model, completely realistic, to eliminate that symbol on the tail, I think is a disservice to the Luftwaffe fighters who had nothing to do with the Holocaust. They were just protecting their homeland, a lot of the fighters. The fighter pilots.
Into service.
Exactly.
I mean, they were forced into service.
And to not have that plane with that swastika on the tail or whatever it may be, I think political correctness has even come into the RC hobby to the point where, okay, just because it has that on the tail doesn't mean that you're anti-Semitic, or you're a neo-Nazi, or you're whatever. If it's going to be a scale model, have it on there. If it's going to be I can't think Adolf. Oh, I can't think of his name. Adolf. The famous World War II pilot, Adolf Galland.
Yeah,
he was the most famous Luftwaffe pilot, biggest ace. To not represent his plane, how it looked when he flew, I think is a disservice to that man. Correct. He was very anti-Nazi. He flew that plane with, at his time, his country's colors. That was part of his country's colors. Why do we have to be so sensitive to something like that, even on an RC plane? I mean, it just baffles my mind sometimes.
Well, it really takes your knob, Dwayne. the swastika is actually a Christian symbol.
And it's also a Native American symbol. If you go in Rapid City, South Dakota, where the Sioux are there's a large population of Sioux Indian. It's a Native American symbol too.
Yeah,
so,
I believe if it's a scale plane and you're going for the scale look, and go for it, put it on there.
Exactly, and I just think it's a disservice to the pilots who gave their lives, even if they weren't fighting for the cause of their leaders. They were still fighting for most of them were fighting for their people in their homeland. That's Correct. My rant for the day. That's my political rant for the day. but yeah. Well, and
I'll put a picture here to slow you down, but I'll stop now.
Oh no, we're fine. And like the other thing, the Germans, they came out with the first rocket and jet fighters, and again because of the insane political leader, the plane wasn't utilized correctly. He wanted to have it as a fighter bomber. Had he used it as an actual fighter, I think most of Europe would have been speaking German had he used his resources correctly.
Yes. Yes. If he had left Russia alone and not invaded Russia and would just went, west until after he got done west, it would have been a different story, I think. Because even though Russia really wasn't a big powerhouse at that time, it was still just too much at one time. It's like going into a bar and picking a fight with 10 people. You're going to lose.
The thing is, my people are Ukrainian, and his problem was the Ukrainians thought he was a liberator because Stalin had killed so many Ukrainians, and they thought Hitler was a liberator, the Germans were liberators, and then he went and used them in slave labor camps instead of, taking them into the army and having them fight. My family came from a country that doesn't exist anymore, from Europe, and it's the exact same thing. What country is that?
Bohemia.
Oh, wow.
That is, see, it.
Really?
That's just a little section of Czechoslovakia now. It's not even a country anymore.
Yeah. We have a little restaurant right up the road from me called the Bohemian, and we go there a lot, and they actually have real, authentic dishes from Prague and all that, and that surrounding area. And it's pretty cool. It's a little microbrewery too. They brew their own beer there, and it's a really good place. We go there a lot. It's kind of funny that you're from there and we go there a lot.
Do they only have Queen on the jukebox?
No, they don't.
This is the real life. It's just not fantasy.
No, that should be their. That should be their. Their song.
Dwayne talking about the accuracy of models and such, or even if you refurbish a scale plane, make it original. I mean, go to the other side. I mean, you wouldn't paint the red ball off of a A6M0.
Right, I mean, unless it's Blaine, I think, who likes to do captured planes. I like his concepts though, where he does the captured planes.
Yeah, he does a real good job on those, and I mean, he makes them look real cool. And I like different, so that's a different type of thing altogether. I've seen a Mustang in Swiss colors, and Swiss was not even in the fight, but they captured it. It landed there, and they interned it, and they painted it their colors, and I was like, this ain't right. And then I was like, well, okay. I read up on it, and yeah, it actually did happen. So it was an accurate representation of a P-51B Mustang in Swiss colors who, okay, he did something different. Cool.
I'm gonna have to look that up.
They were selling a model for it at hobbypeople.net for a while.
Oh, hobbypeople.net? Okay.
But I don't know but their models change a lot, so a lot of times they don't have things for very long, so I don't know if it's still there or not.
Yeah, the history, just in general, if you look from the time our first flight with the Wright brothers to where we've come today, It's just absolutely amazing how we've progressed, and again, not just one country, in general. How, and yes, a lot of technology was stolen by different countries and used, and it's just amazing how far we've come in a little over 100 years.
And where we're going too with the drones.
Oh yeah, and in World War One, just in that few years, I mean, the plane was still something to be laughed at. And then all of a sudden, next thing you know, it's a fighting force, and they're doing things with planes that never been done before. And they were the forefathers for the gunslingers of the air. And it was like, okay, well, how do we do this? At first, they were trying to shoot through the props, and well, that didn't work. So they had to gun it up on the top wing, shoot over the prop, and well, that didn't work too good either. And then
so
the Germans,
synchronizer.
Right, the Germans had a little knob on the gear on the prop, so the gun wouldn't go off when the prop was there.
Yep.
And that came from German technology, by the way.
Well, when it started out, the plane was used just as a reconnaissance scout, and the pilots would start shooting each other with their pistols, their service revolvers. Then the backseaters would use shotguns or hunting rifles, or they would try to drop grenades down on planes flying underneath of them. And yet, you're exactly right.
Or on people on the ground.
That's right. And then the British actually captured a German plane with the synchronizer in it. So again, Germany had the innovation. We copied their technology, but also Britain inadvertently gave Germany the first jet propulsion technology. I forget the exact general who came over. He came over just prior to the war, and he was going through the British one of the British factories or whatever, and one of the gentleman who was developing the jet engine there, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. He came over and he got the plans or whatever for the jet engine from the British, and then
they actually. In the 30s.
What's that?
That was back in the 30s before all of it had broke out. Yeah, you're right.
And then they went and took what Britain said, oh no, jet engines aren't going to go anywhere. Jet engines aren't going to go anywhere. And they scrapped the plans. Germany took the plans that they got, and look what they had. They got the Me-262.
Right.
The Swallow.
Right. And they made so many, and then, like you said, Erich Hitler, he messed that plane up with some of the things that he wanted to do with it. I mean, have you ever seen the mock-up of it with the 20-millimeter cannon sticking out of the nose? Mm-hmm. It wasn't actually a mock-up. They actually had it. I mean, you had a 20-millimeter cannon sticking out the nose of this plane that's, 8-10 foot long in front of the actual plane. So it was like, oh, God, can this thing even fly?
It was like the original A-10. It was the original A-10 built around the gun, except it wasn't built around the gun. They just slapped the gun on it. Yeah,
well, even the ME-109 had a 20 millimeters firing through the
hub,
firing through the prop hub there, the spinner.
Yep.
And you loaded it between your legs, one shot at a time.
Well, see, I was unaware of that. I did not know that.
Oh yeah, I spend a lot of time looking up planes when I get a model so I can fly them the way that they've been flown. And I saw that and I was like, all right, this guy here, he's in a battle and he's reaching down between his legs and loading a 20 millimeter shell into the barrel to shoot through the prop. They mostly used it to take out the B-17s, but it's still amazing that they're firing through something that's turning.
I think we're having a blender field left out. So I think we also got now I'm not too familiar with the first helicopters, but I know they became popular in Korea, in the Korean War.
Yeah, in Vietnam, right?
Well, the Korean War was the first. The little
Korean
bubble.
War, they were used for medical transport.
Yeah.
We saw MASH.
Yep.
and that's where the helicopter. Now Sikorsky was mainly, he was Russian. They're the ones who mainly started with the rotor, who really made the rotor helicopters take off. Wasn't it the Russians who initialized using helicopters for more than what they originally were designed for? Michael, I'm asking a question. Was it the Russians who mainly who started with the helicopters becoming so useful and popular?
I'm not sure on that one.
They had the design, but they didn't have the manufacturing capabilities to produce them.
Okay.
So Sikorsky oh God, I don't want to quote this, but I think he was a Russian defense, but I think another country was building his helicopter because at that time Russia was still coming out of, they still were struggling with their economy and stuff, and they didn't have the manufacturing capabilities to build the helicopters the way they wanted them. So they were being built for them.
Okay.
But a little side note on the helicopters, it's a very, very small part, but the United States actually used the helicopters in World War II at the end.
As assault helicopters or just, medevac?
No, good God, no. They were basically just an observer type helicopter.
Yeah, transport and
not even
surveillance.
Transport. I think they were only two-seater at the maximum. I think was the first helicopters.
Just doing surveillance.
Yep.
Yeah, they were a two-seater helicopter that looked like if you took one of your RC helicopters, took the canopy off of it, and mounted a little box to the front of it. That was the helicopter.
Nice.
It was wide open canopy and everything. Didn't have a bubble at all. They were just, it's the American military were trying to get into it, and hey, they got this, let's try this. And of course, you know how they are.
Yeah, they really didn't take off as far as gunships until Vietnam. And that was the seventh Cav was when they started to use them as gunships and used them as troop transports and doing all that stuff. If you watch the movie We Were Soldiers, that's actually based on a true story, and that's when they first really started using helicopters as their own unit.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and they just took off with it from there and started,
Well,
the Cobra attack helicopter was one of the first attack helicopters.
Right. Which is actually based on a Huey. It's actually a slimmed down. A lot of the parts are interchangeable with the Huey.
Correct.
On
it would
that
just
helicopter.
make yellower and faster.
But if I worked on Blackhawks in the National Guard, and when you look at the complexity just of the gearing alone, not counting the actual turbines up on there, but just the gearing alone, the linkages, and going back into the tail section, it amazes me that somebody could have the intelligence. I mean, I consider myself a decently smart guy, but that's just me, I consider it. Nobody else does. But
no comment.
Yeah. but to look at that, just the linkage alone, the transmission, the gearing, and everything, how can a person sit there, and we're talking like Sikorsky back in the days without computers, and to sit there and look and say, okay, and these are just drawn up by hand. Okay, if I take this part and I machine this part to make this part to go with this part with this drive shaft, and this gear has to run this pinion, but then I have to have linkage to control the pitch on this rear. For somebody to sit there, and a lot of the original planes back in the 30s were developed by one man. I mean, like Northrop, he designed almost all his planes exclusively himself.
Mm-hmm.
To sit there and to look and say, this is what I need to make. First of all, I need to make this machine to make this part to make this helicopter. It just amazes me that there are people with that mindset and intelligence that can do that. I mean, we work on models which are complex and everything, but even the people who develop the models, I mean, it just amazes me some of the intelligence that's out there. It's just wow. That's all I have to say is wow.
Yeah, and I can see back in the day, somebody making the airplane and saying, okay, this could be a good idea. We can make this fly, and like the Wright brothers coming up with the first powered airplane. But the guy who made the helicopter, I mean, what were you thinking? It just doesn't seem like it would work, but it did. I mean, it's crazy just to think about how the helicopter was invented and why compared to an airplane.
Yeah, it's just, well, even either one of them. I mean, like now we got computer simulators. They fly a plane on a simulator for 1,000 hours before they even build the first part of the airplane. Back then, helicopter, airplane, they would look at it, draw it, make the plane, and say, okay, this is going to fly just by using mathematical calculations. And most of the time, except for some of the crazy stuff you've seen, like one-off inventors and stuff with the quadruplane that had like 8 wings and stuff, or the helicopter looked like a umbrella that was flapping up and down. But like the designs that we have today came from designs that were, okay, this is what I see in my head, this is what I put on paper, I put this together. And most of them flew on their first flights. That is what gets me. I mean, today, even with a almost ready to fly model or a bind and fly model, you still have to check center of gravity and do this and do that. These guys just took something out of their mind and said, okay, this is it. No, and boom, it flew. It just amazes me. It's just absolutely, I'm in awe. I'm completely in awe when it comes to that.
Yeah, the mechanical engineering that went into making a helicopter fly is pretty impressive.
Oh yeah, and like we don't, since most of our members are plank flyers, I think we need to get more into the helis because I've always been completely fascinated by them, but because they are so complicated, that's why I've stayed away, because they are so hard, even for an RC person to fly, let alone a real pilot. I mean, somebody, one of the pilots when I was in the National Guard, they said learning to fly a real helicopter is like trying to balance a plate on your head while balancing yourself on a basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Like I said before, I'm sure you've heard me say this a few times. I'll go ahead and say it again. Airplanes are for those that can't fly helicopters.
and I agree. I agree. I mean, like I said, the little micro I have, it's night and day between what I can do. And to watch a real pilot, I mean, I've sat right in the crew chief's seat, right behind the pilots on a Black Hawk, and I mean, they're constantly collective pitch, and then using their feet. They're using both hands at the same time. They're adjusting throttle, the collective, the pitch.
Yep.
They're doing, the rotor, to keep it in the hover. And we're talking a helicopter that doesn't have autopilot. I mean, the Air Force, this is the weird thing, Air Force is allowed to have autopilot on their Black Hawks. The Army is not. When the Air Force and the Army split, for some reason they would not allow Army pilots to have autopilot, and to this day, they still do not have it. They're allowed to have auto hover, but they cannot have an actual autopilot. Now, isn't that messed up?
Yeah, and that's the way it is with real RC helicopters as well. You are constantly on the sticks, and you're constantly giving it endpoint, or adjusting on it, and to keep it in a hover, you're constantly moving the sticks. With an airplane, you can just let go of the sticks, and most of the times it'll glide for a while. If you get it level, you could let go of the sticks, and it'll just go forever. A helicopter, you let go of the sticks, it's going to be in the dirt in 5 seconds.
And that's my problem, getting my left thumb used to being used. I mean, I can use my rudder for hammerheads and stuff like that, or correction on coming in for a landing, but to really learn a rudder on a fixed wing, it's nowhere near as complicated as learning to use that left thumb on a heli. It's just...
And I rarely even used the rudder on an airplane. I mean, I never really even had to, unless you're doing, hammerheads or stall turns or whatever.
Exactly.
Or hovering, but just normal flying, I mean, you can fly around all day long with just, put the throttle in one position and just use your right thumb all day long, and you don't have to do anything. But on a helicopter, no way. I mean, you're constantly using collective, rudder, just small little inputs to keep it in a hover or keep it where you want it.
Now, let me stick in there for just 1 second on your airplanes and your rudder. A lot of your planes are built now, especially your RC planes. They're made where, you don't need the rudder, but if you go to get into the scale or even the 3D, if you don't use your rudder for your turns and things, you'll see that wing starting to drag.
Yeah.
It's trying to drag itself around. So you got to start inputting rudder, what they call coordinating rudder with your turns. Because if you don't, it don't look right. It looks like somebody reached up there and grabbed that wing and yanked it around.
Yeah.
So you want your turns to be smooth, so you got to use rudder. And a lot of people don't use rudder. I use rudder all the time, not just for steering it on the ground.
Well, warbirds too are a lot of your warbirds are prone to tip stalling, and if you don't use that rudder, and if you get that wing to start to drag, that induces tip stall a lot too.
That is correct. It'll spin right onto the ground.
Exactly, and I know that's exactly why I've lost 2 AT6s, which I think out of all the RC planes out there, scale planes, I think the AT6, just because they are built to scale, are some of the hardest RC planes to fly because they are so prone to tip stalling if you don't use that rudder, or if you come in too slow into a turn and not use that rudder to keep that wing from dragging. If you look on YouTube, almost every brand of AT6 suffers from tip stall, just like the real plane did.
Well, that's what I was just fixing to say. One of the things that was said back in World War II, you started with a Mustang and then you was ready to fly an AT6 Texan.
Exactly.
It was supposed to be a trainer plane, but it was harder to fly than the Mustang was.
And one of our members, Farley Waters, and I, we had the same discussion, but he actually put it in this perspective. The reason they did that was because if you could fly the AT6 and fly it correctly, then you can fly any of the frontline fighters out there because they were easier. That was his reasoning why they did that.
That's actually correct. It was AT, Advanced Trainer. So if you could fly the AT6 or SNJ, whichever designation you want to call it, you were good to go. And then later trainers like the T-28 and the T-34, they made them easier to fly.
Yeah, they're babies compared to that Texan I had. Oh, man.
The AT6 was actually a really hard to fly plane.
And that's where I think in modeling, people get, like I did at first. When I first started, I didn't realize how hard that AT6 is to fly compared to the T-28 or even a Mustang, from the same manufacturer. It's a tough little bird to keep airborne. And then a lot of guys will go, well, it's a trainer. It's an RC trainer. It's a low wing trainer, blah, blah, blah. And if you check YouTube, that's all you see. This brand, tip stall. YouTube, this brand, tip stall. Brand X, AT6, tip stall. And that's all you're seeing is AT6s fall out of the sky left and right.
Have you ever seen the E-Flight AT6?
That's one of the biggest offenders, yeah.
Well, I've got one of those, and I upped the power. It's a 25 size, but I went up to the power 32 on it. And my first flight on it's still on one piece, and I didn't crash it. But I really learned that by watching the YouTube videos for both the real plane and the model planes, don't pull up until you got a lot of steam on her. Because all she's going to, if you come up too soon, is she's going to just make a perfect little arc to the left and go nose straight down.
Yep, and that's exactly what all the videos show, going to that left. And that's what mine did, too. That's exactly what mine did, too, right to the left. Or not right to the left, but just to the left and rolled over.
Right. So most of the people, that were complaining about it were like, oh, wow, it's a bad plane. It sucks. It's this and that. I said, no, it's just the way it's a scale plane. Most scale planes, like heavy metal warbirds, I've got just put it in comparison, I've got a Piper Pawnee that's got an 80-inch wingspan. Okay, I can take that thing off in 6 foot.
Okay.
But, yeah, it's a little lightweight. It's got a big flat wing. It looks like it's a crop duster. So it's meant to take off in short distances.
Right.
But my Hellcat, which is smaller both lengthwise and wingspan-wise, well, you think, oh, well, this is a small plane. You probably don't need as much. It's also almost twice as heavy.
So you got
to I don't think the balsa would hold together on that.
Get a steam catapult.
just to give a shout out to one of the other members is Hance. He's got that little gas engine. And I've been following on him real good. Because sitting over here on one of my work tables is my first gas powered plane too, which I have not flown yet. But it's got a DLE-20 on it. And I had to go back and redo this model because it wasn't made for an engine that big. But it's a Corsair. And I'm already worried about it because I think I've already come out almost 2 pounds over what they said the recommended weight was. So I'm like, oh, God, I've got a high wing-loaded plane already, and now I'm 2 pounds over.
Well, so that's pretty much what the real Corsair was like that. It had that big WASP radial in there, and I mean,
yeah.
I mean, if you look at a Corsair, that thing should never fly. I mean, it should never fly.
It did a good job. It did a good job of it.
Yes, it did. I mean, the reason they made the gull wings was for the prop to clear the ground. So because of that big motor and the big prop, that's why they made the gull wings.
Right.
There's really no aerodynamic benefit of it. It was just so they can get the propeller not to smack the deck every time.
Well, actually, they did find it did create more lift in climbs.
Oh, did it really?
They didn't think it would. When they first designed it, they said, you're exactly right. The landing gears are steady on those because it was supposed to be a carrier base. And they said, well, for we really to get this much power out of this engine, we got to have this 14-foot prop. It's going to hit the ground. So they bent the wings, and there you go.
Because if they didn't bend the wings, the landing gear would have been about 12 foot long.
Exactly. It would have looked like, what is it, Dauntless with those long landing gears on it? I think it's a Dauntless, the dive bomber.
Yep. Yes, sir.
And a little tidbit on the Corsair, when it was called the Ensign Killer. Because if you didn't know how to fly it, it was going to kill you. Especially landing on a flat top. And they actually grounded it to ground use only because it had that long cigar-shaped nose, so they couldn't see. So they didn't know how to make the approaches to landings. Well, it was our British brethren in the military at the time that taught us how to land our own plane. You came in on a swooping dive, so you always had the deck in sight because you had one wing lower.
Right.
Little fact for Mike, I'm sure he was well aware of that.
See, this is the part of the show I truly enjoy. I love where our show goes, where we can, each week we've had a different guest and we've had a different topic, and I learn new things and our guests learn new things, and we share different things where I love this. I just wanted to thank our listeners, thank Mike, thank Blender. I mean, this show, I think, is just like the perfect match of different elements that we can just have fun and actually just learn stuff and just we're basically BSing, but we're actually learning and I enjoy this tremendously. I just want to say that I truly enjoy what we're doing here, and I think what we got, I think it's gonna do pretty well. I hope so. I hope it does.
Yeah, we definitely got some things in the works that are gonna make it awesome and make it better for everybody. So hopefully, we can keep it going and get more listeners and get more people involved.
I just love, though, where this conversation went this week, because last week when you were talking about helicopters with Paul, I'm sitting there, well, I had macaroni and cheese.
Yeah.
This is my turn to actually share some of the stuff that I know with the guest. Last week you were talking helis. Oh, man, I couldn't have been more lost.
Yeah.
Well,
like Frodo and Mordor.
Going back to what I was talking about on the Corsair, that's how I learned how to land an airplane, or an RC airplane. Because I did it on my own. I started with a simulator, I started with the Air Hogs, and then I went to a simulator, and then I was going out to the club field. I wasn't a member yet, but I had joined the AMA, and I was able to go out there and fly anytime I wanted, but I was still having trouble with my landings. I couldn't get the speed down right. So I was on YouTube and watching how these World War II planes were landing these Corsairs on flat tops, and I said, well, if they can do that, I can do that. And that swooping maneuver is how I land. When I'm on my back leg, as you call it, and I'm throttling down, I start into a circle and start decelerating and start descending. And when I finish my turn, I'm level with I'm straight with the runway. So,
right.
You know, a lot of people I learned how to fly RC airplanes from watching the real planes, and once I got it down, I was like, oh, I got this down now. I'm good. Right.
Well, see, now what you need to do now is you need to build out of plywood a scale aircraft carrier and take with you, and put a little trap on here, put some arresting wires, and start doing that. That's what you need to do.
Did you see that on YouTube where I think it was at the E-Fest, they had a flying aircraft carrier and they were landing little micros on it?
I saw that, but I saw a guy, I don't know what he did with it, but he actually had, it was just one video, and he said he was going to do it, but he had a scale aircraft carrier he would tow in a trailer, and he was using it at his airfield, but there were no other videos on actually after he had it on his trailer. But he built like a scale aircraft carrier just for that, and then he stopped uploading videos. So I wonder where that went. I mean, that would be interesting to see.
Yeah, it would. I couldn't do it. No way.
Get the little Ultra Micro Corsair from Horizon and make a smaller version.
I'd land in the water a lot.
On purpose?
Yeah, we'll go that way. That was on purpose, guys. I did that on purpose.
Uh-huh.
All right.
Without floats, right?
Go get the track bag.
My landing option is to cut the throttle because I have my EPP pits, which I fly, my Ultra Micros. I just cut the throttle and just let it touch the grass, and that's it. The small wheels I have on both my planes, there's no grass takeoff, there's no grass landing. So I truly enjoy. I am so fascinated by watching an aircraft land, how they just come down so nice and slow and touch, and I want that so bad. But where I fly, I don't have a strip. I don't have a hardened strip, and so I just kind of plop down on the grass, and that's it. And we're doing belly land.
That's where I'm lucky because we actually have a paved runway to land on, and that makes a big difference.
Yeah, so do we. If I fly on the airplane side, we've got a nice paved runway and a paved taxi area.
Every once in a while, oh, go ahead, Mike.
I was going to say, I'm going to have to break my trainer out when I finish this Tucano, because I haven't flown a tri-gear since that trainer, and I'm so used to tail draggers now. I'm not sure. I got to relearn how to fly one of them.
Oh, yeah. That's right. You got the Tucano. I wanted to bring. I absolutely love that plane in real life, and I love it on Microsoft Flight Simulator 2004. I am just fascinated by the looks of that plane. And now that originally was also an advanced trainer to give the guys a feel of a jet, but with the affordability of a prop, and then they decided to put guns and rockets on it for smaller air forces, correct?
Actually, no. The Tucano was a straight out of the box fighter.
Oh, was it really? Okay.
Now the Pilatus, I'm probably saying that wrong, P9 or P91 or something like that, looked almost exactly like it. But it was the trainer. It's the trainer that's still being used by the Air Force today.
Okay.
It had the turboprop on it, and it's
you're talking about Air Force.
Right. Yeah, I'm talking about our Air
Pilatus. Yeah, the Pilatus, the PC-9 to Texan 2. Yeah. Okay.
Right. Correct. And they look real close, real similar. But the Tucano had a bigger engine. It's got the hard points out on the wings for all the the ordnance it carries. And it's mostly used in South America. And Brazil has most of them. The Tucano itself.
See, I knew they were similar, but I didn't know if the Tucano followed the same heritage as the Texan 2. I didn't know if it started as a trainer and they said, hey, wait a minute, this is a good close support aircraft. But I didn't realize that it was designed originally as a close air support. So that's it. More information.
You see, if you look at them side by side, from the cockpit nose forward, they look alike. I mean, almost identical. But when you get back to the tail, that's when you see that the horizontal stabilizer on the 86 Texan 2, we'll call it that way, the horizontal stabilizer actually extends out past the end of the plane,
Right.
past the rudder, whereas the Takano does not.
Now the Takano also has a slimmer tail section, doesn't it? The fuselage, it's a little thinner. It looks waspier to me.
Yeah, it's a little bit, but not much. But
Yeah,
I'm still learning. I'm still looking it up and learning how it's going to be flown, so that I fly it correctly. And like I said, I got to relearn how to use the tri-gear on that thing because it's different.
Now, what model is that? That's Takano. Who makes that?
That's made by Seagulls, and you get it at Horizon.
Okay, Seagull, and you got it from Horizon. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what we're doing is we're going to put links up to every. We're going to start putting links up on our Facebook page, the models and stuff our guests talk about and what we talk about. So.
Cool. I recommend it. I mean, it's gone together rather well. It comes with it's a full house controls too. It's got flaps. It's got a retracts. It comes with mechanical retracts, but I've opted to go with the electric retracts on it just for simplicity. And it's a good model. I mean, it's well built. I've gone back and I do this with any ARF, but I re-glued all the glue joints just to make sure. And I do it with even the lower expensive model, cheaper models that I buy from this place, or the higher end models that I buy from that place. It don't matter to me. I want the wood to stay together, so I go in and anything that looks like a stress joint or don't look quite right, it gets some more glue put to it, whether it's epoxy or just plain old super glue.
I do the same thing. And while we're talking about flaps real quick, I want to thank Tango Alpha. I still don't know why it's not Tango Lima. Travis Lab. Around Christmas time, he was having a little contest. He's asking trivia questions about aerodynamics and flight. And I won his Hobby King points, and I had like $60 worth of points, and I got a Beaver. It's a Hobby King model. It's a little Beaver. And it comes with a standard full-length aileron on the wing. But what I'm going to do now that I've got my Orange Crush, I'm going to convert part of the wing to a flap.
Sure, that's a good idea.
And I'm interested to see. This is going to be my first aircraft with flaps, and I'm going to see how that's going to work because I actually have flap position switch on my Orange Crush, and I'm going to put an extra set of servos and go from there. I'm kind of curious to see how that works. I know in theory how they work. I know how they work on real aircraft, but this is going to be my first actual RC model with flaps, and I'm kind of excited about that. I'm going to start doing that here probably the beginning of the month. I'm going to start working on that if the trout fishing isn't too good.
Nice. So for the listeners, just so that they know, the Orange Crush is the Turnigy. What is the model number?
6. It's actually, no, it's not Turnigy.
Oh.
It is actually made by ORX, Orange RX, but the actual on the box it says ORX for Orange RX, and it's the T-6 6-channel transmitter, and it's a DSM-2. It comes in mode 1s and mode 2. It works with all your Spectrum receivers, your bind and flies, your plug and play, any Spectrum receiver it will work with, and it also works with the Orange receivers, which you can get exclusively from Hobby King and a few other little hobby shops. Again, I love Horizon Hobby. I love their customer service, but if you can't afford a 6X and you can't afford their actual receivers, these Orange RXs and transmitters, they're a quality product. I mean, for my airplane, it has flaps, P-mixes, dual aileron, VTAL, Delta, differential. For helicopters, it has gyro adjust, graphic throttle curve, graphic pitch curve, P-mixes, Revo mix, swash type, normal, and CCP M120s. So, I mean, it has a pretty good amount of stuff. It has 10 model memory, model name and type, model match, servo sync, integrated timer, contrast adjustment, dual speed trim scroll, throttle cut, trainer mode, travel adjustment, sub trim, servo monitor, dual rate and exponential. There we go. Expo. Hey, Expo. Roller selector user interface, adjustable stick length, direct trim access display, large LCD display, backlit, selectable battery type. You can use a lithium polymer, nickel metal hydride, or NiCad, or you can use just AA. Full range DSX 6-channel, full ball bearings in the gimbals, and has selectable power output for US or France, which still limits how much your transmitter can output.
Wow.
And it makes my pea glow orange. So
yeah, that's a lot of information. Are you sure you're not sponsored by Orange Crush?
hopefully we can be. If I keep announcing this and we get big enough, hopefully we can be. We will all be flying orange here.
I don't know about that. I think I'll stick to my 11X.
Hey, don't be trash talking my sponsor now.
Hey, if you get sponsored by Orange RX, that's all good for you. You can wear your orange safety vests and shirts and fly your orange radio with your tinfoil hat at the fun flies. That'll be good for you.
Well, actually, what I'm looking into, when you go get an X-ray at the hospital, they put that lead vest on your body.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about getting one of those since I hold the transmitter right about belly level. I'm thinking about getting one of those lead vests just to be on the safe side.
Yeah, that would be good. It'd be kind of like Magneto, He blocks all the magnetic fields out of his head with the that lead helmet that he wears.
The neighbors are still pissed, man. Garage doors up and down every time I fly, but I don't care.
Yeah.
Well,
hey,
that's
Dwayne, on your Orange Crush, I asked you a question. You're talking about going to the flaps. Does it have flap to elevator mix?
No, it does not. It doesn't have flapper on either, but it does have a flap switch.
Right. I was going to say, probably on that plane it won't really make a whole lot of difference, but if you ever decide to go to a bigger plane, a balsa plane or whatever that has flaps, you may not need it, but I have found that, like on my Pawnee, I mix a little bit of elevator mix to the flaps, so when I go to full flaps, it actually puts a little bit of down thrust to it, so it keeps
it
flying
balloon
level.
up. Yeah, so it doesn't balloon.
But I think for the price you pay for that radio, that's an excellent radio.
And the more I'm using it, the more I'm liking it, and yeah, I'm very happy with it. Like I said, a couple people said they've had the LCD go out or whatever. I've had no issues, and that's only been like 2 people out of all the forums I've read that they've had an issue. Then again, they might have, for all we know, they could have put in a wrong battery. They could have put in too big of a LiPo or something, and if it calls for a 2S and they put a 3S in, we don't know.
Or they got mad and they bounced it off the wall.
Exactly. So I mean, yeah, I've had no issues. Like I said, the only thing, and I'll say it again, is that the battery hatch was a little bit loose, so I put a clear piece of electrical tape on there, and it looks like the stickers where it marks for like your flaps and whatever, they look like they're not the greatest quality marking where your flap switches are and stuff, but I'm not going to sit there and pick at them. I'm not going to take it out in the rain, so I don't think that'll be an issue either. What I might do is I just might take a dash of clear nail polish around the edges just to make sure that the stickers don't lift up if I see one starting to peel.
Yeah, that'll work.
So, but that's all I got for this week's show. I want to thank everybody. I want to thank my co-host, Blender. I want to thank Mike Mitchell for being on here. It was an interesting topic, interesting discussion. I'm having a great time with this show. I'm going to be posting more on the Facebook page. Like I said, I've been a little sick over the past month or so I haven't been giving it the full attention. My co-host thought that I was losing interest. Not the thing at all. I've just been not feeling quite myself. Again, I'm loving this show. I'm loving the direction it's going. I love my co-host in a brotherly sort of way. I love our guests. It brings a lot of fun, a lot of interesting new things, a lot of education, and I'm just happy to be able to do this for you guys, and I hope you guys out there are enjoying it. Blender?
Yeah, same here. We'd love to hear some feedback as well. We haven't gotten too much feedback, so we're open to feedback, suggestions, comments, that kind of stuff. So feel free to drop us a line. Yeah, hate mail, anything anything you want to send our way. Feel free to send us a message, even if it's just saying, "Hey, good job. We like our ego stroked." Who doesn't?
and guys, on that, if there's a topic that you guys want to hear about, if there's something you want us to dedicate a part of the show to, if there's something you want to review, we'll try to find a member, or if we have it, we'll give a review on the podcast. We'll put notes up on the Facebook page. Don't be afraid to use our email address. Don't be afraid to use our Facebook messaging option or our comment section. We want to hear what you guys want to hear. That way you'll listen, and it'll make it more fun for us too.
Yeah, I'm all for reviewing stuff and and taking new products and trying them out. So if there's something you want me to try, especially in the helis, let me know. As long as it's affordable, not like a Logo 800 Extreme. One day I'd like to have one, but it's definitely not feasible for me right now.
And if you guys notice, we have our show. We're starting to get better on it and working out some glitches. We're going to do a basic format. We're going to introduce ourselves, our guest, our news section, our forum updates, our hot topic of the forum. But we also have our open mic session like we've just had now, talking about World War II fighters. If there's a topic you want to hear us talk about, as long as it's not off the wall crazy stuff, send us a message. We'll talk about it. I mean, if you want to hear more about the history of helicopters or the RC hobby in general, or if you want to do like a nostalgia clip, we can go back and we'll do some research for you. We'll talk about radios from the past, any topic that you guys want. As long as it's not going to tick off half our listeners, we're open to it. We'll love to talk about it. We can even get a guest on just to talk about that topic. So, again, let us know.
Yeah, for sure. And I know you guys most of you saw that we got our first pro pilot that's going to be a guest with us here pretty soon. Not sure when because he's really busy right now. Andrew Jeske said he'd come on and do an interview with us and talk on the podcast for you guys. So that'll be interesting for you AJ Slick fans.
Now, is that the engine oil additive that you go 100,000 miles without an oil change?
No, that's not. That's the wrong one.
That was Slick 50. Okay,
yeah,
never mind.
Yeah. No, this is the AJ Slick 540.
Yes, we have a lot of fans, and I do apologize. When Blender did tell me who we're having, I really don't follow the professional RC stuff as much as I should, but I will start this year. Just for the simple fact that I'd watch those guys, I would get depressed and be like, I could never do that. But now that I've been flying more, I'm getting more confident. So now this year I'm going to follow a lot more and hopefully try to get to some RC shows also and be more up to date on what's current and what's going on out there and who all the big players are in the industry.
Yeah, and you'll like Andrew Jeske. He does fly 3D, but he doesn't compete 3D. The biggest thing he competes in is pattern flying and pattern competitions.
That is right up my alley. I love pattern. I absolutely love that. Yeah, he's always got huge pattern planes out at the field practicing every time I'm there. So it's definitely cool to see if you're into pattern flying. I prefer the 3D stuff. But if pattern flying's your cup of tea, you might want to listen into that podcast once we get him on the show. And 3D guys, please do not get offended. Like I've said many times, I absolutely respect your thumb and finger control, and I respect what you guys can do. But it just gives me a headache watching it. I mean, I'd rather watch a hummingbird on crack. It doesn't make my head hurt as much. I just cannot follow all that. I mean, you guys are absolutely amazing. I'm just more of the nice precision flying type stuff, but anybody who can fly, even an air hog, I respect you all. So just so you know that. So
yeah, for sure.
I'm not showing any prejudice or negativity towards you. It's just everybody has their cup of tea, and I like slow and precise as opposed to wow.
I'm sure Michael's the same way too.
Yep, pretty much.
Yeah, Michael's a scale guy, and we've talked a little bit on our forum, on our Facebook page and stuff. And there's not many. It seems there's not many of us scale pattern guys anymore. It seems everybody is going right into 3D. But I mean, it's good. It's just it's hard to find information even still, like on basic aerobatics. Everything's now let's do the blender, let's do the hovering inverted Harrier loop or whatever. I'm just making some of the stuff up, but I mean, it seems like just to find basic aerobatics, there's not many people doing that anymore. It's always the crazy stuff.
Yeah.
So as long as we have a variety and we keep it, that's what I like about this hobby. I absolutely love it.
Yep.
That's all I got this week, guys. Thanks again.
Yeah, same here. Thanks, Michael, for coming on the show and talking World War II with us. It's good to have you on the show, and keep our skies safe in the mornings.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate y'all having me. It was a good time.
Yeah.